When you have a pleasure contract, I sex my queen when I sex her. We go to the movies when we want to go to the movies. We go to the Bahamas when we want to go to the Bahamas. We go to the festival when we want to go to. It's all pleasure based. I see you when you want to see me. You see me when you want to see me. Relationship, I'm accountable to you whether we having fun or not. Relationship, your long-term best interest as a human being is part of my responsibility. A lot of people are calling pleasure contracts and situationships, which is when neither one of you really know what the hell this is. We're calling them relationships and they're not. So number one, we got to be honest about what the particular structure is. Is this situationship? We just trying to figure it out. Is this a pleasure contract? We just having fun in and out of the bed when we feel like it? Or is this a relationship where you're going to be accountable to me even when you are angry and upset and don't want to be bothered? What exactly is this? Because there's a big difference. And unfortunately, because we don't communicate with the women in our lives as men, once they open their legs, they tend to assume that there's some sort of a relationship here. No matter how minuscule, we never clarify that. And the reason we never clarified that is in our selfishness as men, we like to have our cake and eat it too. So we know she's developing a bond. You understand? But we're never going to clarify the bond because I want to be able to dip out the back door the minute she puts too much responsibility on me. Where had if you told her up front, this is just a pleasure contract, an arrangement, she could have probably done a better job of keeping her feelings to herself. But because we don't want to see her with nobody else, we would rather run the risk of hurting her spiritually and emotionally than let her go free to find what she really needs. Selfishness plays a big role in this.
Now, let me ask you this, because you mentioned about money and sex. What should be at the root of a healthy relationship?
For me, the foundation of a healthy relationship, first of all, let's deal with the 4 essentials. In order for the relationship to work at all, you got to have humility. A lot of times we don't have humility. If the relationship is based on ego, it's not a relationship. You see that? Ego means you hear me, but I don't have to hear you. That's not a relationship. That's a master-slave relationship when you have one person who has all the power and the other person who does not. And to that point, that is a very toxic situation we see in our community too, where the woman is the slave master and the man is the slave, or the man is the slave master and the woman is the slave. And you've seen these relationships where one person makes all the decisions and have all the power and the other person needs to remain silent unless spoken to. You see, which goes down another road of where you should not be dating if you have low self-esteem, because people with low self-esteem will always be taken advantage of in the dating arena. And too many men and women are out there looking for their ideal mate, but you don't have the ideal self-esteem in order to engage the type of mate that you want. So if I speak to a young sister, what type of man you want? I speak to a young brother, what type of queen you want? They describe them. Is your self-esteem at a level that this type of person would want you?
Ooh.
Because you can't hide how you feel about yourself. Once you've been around a queen for a couple weeks, she know how you feel about yourself, just like you know how she feel about herself when you've been around her for a couple weeks. So the role of self-esteem is critical because, as you know, a player, a brother who knows how to game women, he can read their level of self-esteem
quickly.
He knows exactly what her thirsty meter is hitting at. You see? And a woman knows exactly what his thirsty meter is hitting at.
Absolutely.
But getting back to those 4 essentials, you need humility. I got to be humble enough to be quiet when she's wrong to hear her out. I got to be humble enough to remain quiet while she's expressing her points about me. Everything she just said may be wrong. She may have accused me of cheating. She may have accused me of all kinds of things. But guess what? This is her truth in this moment. Let me shut the fuck up. Let her say what she needs to say. When she's done, reflective listening. Baby, you believe the reason I came home at 1 o'clock last night because I was over my baby mom's. Is that how you feel? Do you believe that? Okay, let me try to prove it. You see? Let me try to prove to you that I was not there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The problem with us, because most of us was raised by women, we get a little bitchy. You see that? So when our queen get bitchy, we want to get bitchy right back. That's not the behavior of a man. That's not masculine. Masculinity says she's in her pain. And because she's in her pain, I'm going to validate her even if she's incorrect, because I don't ever want her to feel that I don't understand where she's coming from. We get right into defense mode raised by single black mothers. We want to give her back the same energy she giving us. That's a gridlock. We don't move nowhere. You got to have humility. The next thing you got to have is you got to have communication. One of the biggest mistakes we have in our relationships in the black community, we want our partners to read our minds. If you're in a relationship with a woman who needs you to read her mind, that is an emotionally immature woman, and you need to end it. A woman should be able to tell a man what she wants and how she feels. And a man should be able to tell a woman what he wants and how he feels, because it goes both ways. Whenever you're in a relationship and somebody expects you to read their mind, as I've often said to sisters, I'm a psychologist, not a psychic. You understand? I observe and evaluate. I can't read. You see? So tell me how you feel. The reason why a lot of sisters would rather us feel them out than communicate to us how they feel is they're afraid of rejection. They don't want to verbalize it because they're afraid it may get rejected. So they would rather you read the mind so they don't have to garner the audacity to tell you exactly how they're feeling. In other words, you need to make a decision whether or not you're going to marry me. We've been in this relationship for 3 years. You see that?
Yeah.
She wants to say it. She ain't got the courage because she's afraid of what your response is. So she's been pouting around the house, acting up like, what's wrong with her? She want to know where this relationship is going, but she's not going to say it because you ain't giving her the confidence to say that. You see? So we have to make sure that when we are dating people, we're dating people who mirror our psychological age. Because all of us have a biological age. We also have a psychological age. So let's say you're 45 years old, biologically. Your queen is 45 years old, biologically. But she's been traumatized, raped, abused, abandoned by her father, emotionally scarred by her mother. Although she's 45 biologically, psychologically, she could be 12. Psychologically, you could be 6. And the big reason why a lot of our relationships don't work out is you got two people who are around the same biological age, but psychologically, they're at 2 different levels. You see this, you're like, damn, why she acting like a child? Why he acting like a child? Because guess what? They are not psychologically where you are. And here's a big problem we have. We think we've met our match when we get into a relationship where we never argue and there's no type of conflict or disagreement. That's a trap. You know why that's a trap? Everybody has a pain body. You got one, I got one, they got one. What is a pain body? That is an energy that you carry within your soul. It's a deep part of your unconscious that contains the memory of every negative experience you ever had in your life. From the time you got bullied, you know, from your father spanking you in front of your friends, your girlfriend cheating on you, everything you went through negative is in this pain body, right? You have one. Everybody got one. If you've never seen it activated in your queen to be, it ain't time to get married yet, because you have to determine whether or not you can live with her pain body when it gets activated. See, this is where we date for 5 years and everything been great. We moved in for 1 month. Now we getting a divorce. You know why? Because it's easy to date when y'all don't have to share the same space. It's easy to date when y'all don't have to share the same space. Now y'all sharing the same space, and all that she kept hidden in her, or all that you kept hidden in you, now it's going to come out. And do you want to know why? The ego doesn't like to lie. Your ego never wants. When she says, "Are you cheating on me?" You say no if you are. Your ego want to say, "Fuck yeah, I'm cheating." And I'm going, you see, the ego doesn't like to lie. You see, right. So once you're forced, 3 things normally force the ego to tear the mask off. Because when we dating each other, we're basically dating the ideal self. We're projecting before the other person. We're not dating who we really are. When you meet somebody, you never tell them, "I'm an alcoholic. I have trouble showing up for work at time. I had 10 jobs in the past year. My father left me. I grew up in a brothel with my mother who was a prostitute." You're not telling her none of that. She has to figure out all your flaws on her own, just like you have to figure out all her flaws on your own. You see that? And so that's why we don't trust each other when we begin dating, because we both know we got a pain body. We both know we got baggage, and neither person wants to be transparent about what their issues are from the beginning.
Damn.
See, we force the other person to learn them on their own. So nobody trusts nobody, because I know you got shit in your closet and you ain't giving me none of it. And because I got to study you and I don't know how long I'm gonna have to study you, I'm going to try to hold my feelings back as much as I can. And for that very same reason, we like to keep something on the side too. Because if this don't work out, I need something else to fall out on. Well, guess what? If you got something on the side, there's no way you can be fully committed to this. Now, let me tie trauma back into this. How can you fully love if you're too afraid to get hurt?
Right.
And if you can't fully love because you're too afraid to get hurt, you have no business dating in the first place. Because what you might mistake for love is nothing more than a psychologically unhealthy attachment or addiction for someone else's presence in your life to validate you. Right now, we got an epidemic of Black men killing their women. That wasn't love. You couldn't kill somebody you loved. You know what was going on? He was addicted to her presence in his life. His illness cannot exist without her presence in his life. And because he can no longer have her presence in his life, he's going to take her life. That's not love. That's psychopathology and addiction. Wow. And you have a lot of traumatized Black people running around thinking they're in love with people. You're not in love. You are simply addicted to their presence in your life. They serve a purpose for you. That's it. It's not love. And if you don't really understand what love is, oftentimes clinginess, attachment, thirstiness, and addiction is called love, and it's not. Love don't hurt. If it hurts, it has to be trauma.